Hi everyone, welcome back. Patricia here with another money video for you, and this time it's a collaboration. This is my very first collaboration around the topic of money. I recently just started talking about money here on my channel, and last month you may remember that I reviewed this book. Well, that spurred me into finding out a YouTube channel called Long Term Lottery, and she hosts a financial book club. So this month I'm joining them and reviewing the book Total Money Makeover. The book starts off with this chapter called What This Book Is Not, and I'm going to be honest, I really appreciated that. He does say that this book is not brand new information. This is not something groundbreaking that you've never heard of. It is all basic common sense stuff, but he also says that common sense isn't so common, so it's nice to have it all kind of contained here in a really easy to understand format. This is more of a how to do it plan. So his other books are more like what to do with your money. This is the how to do it. He calls it a process book. The Total Money Makeover Challenge is essentially completing all 7 baby steps at some point in your lifetime. So he does start the book off with an overview of the 7 baby steps, and he continues onto some popular topics like denial. In fact, I was in denial when I took out my car loan. I thought, we can afford the payments and this and that, and we still can, and the idea is that I can be putting this our car loan is really small because we paid for like half of it up front, and it was a used car in case you're curious. But I could be putting those $200 into a different account that can grow for me and build wealth rather than just putting those $200 to a payment every month. So he kind of, lays it out in a way that makes you understand what you could be getting if you didn't have that bill. This book in particular is filled with both information as well as inspiration. On about every other page there's an excerpt of somebody who was in debt up to their eyeballs, maybe at an early age in their marriage or even late in retirement, and fixed it. They fixed it, they solved it, they made the most of their circumstances, and they are now financially free. I will say, as sort of a critique on the book, that the inspirational stories for me kind of got in the way of the meat of the book. I just wanted to hear him, and there's so much on like every other page, and so I eventually started skipping those little parts about like the couples or the marriages that had a success story. I feel like you hear 5 of them and you kind of hear all of them. But if you need the inspiration and if you feel down in the dumps, maybe all those stories can really start to build you up. But eventually they just sounded redundant to me. If you are married, I think that it's really important that you and your spouse read this. I think it would be really hard for you to read this alone. It's very encouraging, it's very inspirational, it's totally motivational, and you're going to put it down and you're going to want to make some changes. But you can't make those changes if you're in a good marriage without talking to the other person, unless they let you take control of the finances. But your spouse should also read this book and sort of get on the same page. One of the first actions I took after reading this book was I switched over all my credit cards to debit, mostly all. We're kind of still transitioning and making sure it's the safe move for us. So we are slowly switching over some of those e-bills that I had with my credit card just so I can do all debit. Starting to pay with debit card more regularly. Even though I used to always pay off my credit at the end of the month, I'm starting to see that now in a different light. And I'm totally surprised by that. I didn't think I would ever budge because it was really convenient and I could pay off to 0, so why switch? But I am kind of seeing it differently, so it's kind of interesting how this book changed my mind on that. The point I'm at in my life right now, I'm in my mid-30s and I have 2 young kids. Some of the chapters that really spoke to me and that really give me the most meaning are the chapters involving college funding, retirement, and mortgage. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and my, what baby steps jump out to me as the ones that I need to learn more about. So in this book, he doesn't give too much detail, which is okay. I still think it's a good book, but if you want the real deal nitty-gritty on those subjects, sticking with the Ramsey, crew, you're gonna want to read this one here. Retire Inspired. I read it, I loved it, and I can do a totally separate video on it. But this is the real information on, all the different accounts and how to build that wealth and the retirement and the savings, and it's all in there. He touches on it and he gives you some really good numbers, like 15% of your income toward retirement. That's good to know. A 15-year mortgage versus a 30-year mortgage. That's good to know. But the other book gives you so much more detail. In the back of the book, there are really nice charts if you want some visuals to kind of do your own stuff, and you can also find those online. But there is a recommended percentages page. Now, if you saw a few videos back, I did my budget on numbers in Mac, and I was able to get some percentages. And so I'm going to compare my numbers with his numbers and just to see where we land. Now, a term I hear a lot on YouTube is the sinking fund, and I never really understood it, but it's essentially just a savings account. So in the back of the book, he breaks down savings. So once you have your $1,000 and then you have your 3 to 6 months emergency, you can start saving for other things. So he has vacations, tires on your car, furniture replacement, college fund, all that's different stuff. I do want to talk about my savings plan. I sort of have different accounts, but you don't necessarily need to do that. I do think this book is really helpful for anyone who wants to gain control of their money and put their head in the game when it comes to their personal finances. In fact, I think this would be a good gift. I really do. This is a library book right now, and so it's going to be on my wish list, as the months go on. I think especially as we get closer to buying that home, it'll be good to reread some of the talks about that. I actually read this book several weeks ago. Now that I'm talking about it again, I'm not kidding, I want to read it again. It's one of those books that you can reread a few times and gain something new each time. You want to know this information as well as you know your social security number. You want to have it in you because this is it's a big deal. It's a big deal. We're all getting older, we're all going to retire, and we want to make sure we're comfortable with our lifestyle and the amount of money we have saved up when we do retire. So if you've never read a book about money and you don't know where to start, totally start here. Absolutely start here. Read this book first before you go take any actions. Get some information in you and get it from a good source. So Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, A+ in my book. Thank you to Long Term Lottery for letting me join in your book club. If you want to see the upcoming books, I'll link that below as well, and I do believe anyone can join. Just send her a message and she'll include your name on the playlist. If you want to hear other reviews about this book, I will link those down below as well, and be sure to stay tuned because I do want to talk about this one in some of my upcoming videos. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.